Hey, this is Kyle from Superior Automotive Solutions. I'm going to take a few minutes to talk about oil change intervals. One of the most frequent questions I get from people is how often should I change my oil? It seems like nobody wants to use the old 3,000 mile rule. And that's fine, but I'm also on the opposite end of the spectrum seeing people coming in at 8,000, 10,000, all the way up to 20,000 miles on an oil change, and that's having a lot of negative effects. I think if you want to push it out to 4,000, 5,000, that's a comfortable range. We are able to do that now because of advancements in how oil is made, oil filters, advancements in engine technology. But there is a large factor you need to consider when deciding this. The longer you go between oil changes, the longer everything else goes. So by the time you bring it in to get the oil filter changed, let's just pick a number, say 10,000 miles, there may be a list of other issues that come along with that. Maybe your brakes are grinding and you did not know they were even close to being worn down. That could have been caught if you had a smaller oil change interval, say maybe 3, 4, 5,000 miles. Tire rotations is another big thing. A lot of people, since they're not going to get their oil changed as often, are skipping their tire rotations, and in the end it's costing them a lot more money in the long run, not to mention wear and tear on everything else. The mechanics shops, technicians, dealers, we use inspection sheets during oil changes, and obviously we get eyes on your vehicle to hopefully catch problems before they become larger ones. Say, for an example, even an oil leak. We can catch that when it's small, instead of at 8,000 miles maybe it develops into a large oil leak. It can obviously be a lot more costly in the long run. The other flip side to this, if you're taking it into a shop to get it repaired or to get your oil changed, is the quality of parts used. If you're doing it on your own, which a lot of people do, they are really conscious about the cost of parts. They'll go get the cheapest oil filter, the cheapest brand of oil. And that's essentially fine in some cases, but when you're running your car longer, say 10,000 miles, on the cheaper parts, you're going to have problems, essentially. I will insert a picture of the difference in filters, for instance, between a cheaper and a more costly one. One of them is obviously going to break down a lot sooner than the other. So if you're taking it into your trusted shop to get it repaired or get your oil changed, they're obviously going to take that into consideration and get a mid-grade or more quality filter, or they should be taking that into consideration anyways. Another thing a lot of people doing their own oil changes forget are your manufacturer service intervals. Say Ford, Chevy, Dodge, Honda, Toyota, whatever the case may be, they have certain mileage points they want you to complete certain tasks at, whether that's change your fuel filter, your spark plug wires, inspect this, inspect that. And most people doing the oil changes in their driveway, they're not being reminded of that. And it honestly is, it's a big point, big step into keeping your car maintained well, which essentially will make it run longer. In the long run, costing you less money. In the end, do I think that we need to stay with a 3,000 mile oil change interval? I certainly have recommended that to a few of my customers due to their engines per se are known to having problems with valve train issues, with bearing issues, pretty much anything that is lubricated by the oil or controlled by oil pressure. Some of those cases, I try to stick them to a 3,000 mile interval. I've noticed it's less problems down the road. If you have an engine that is necessarily not known for that, maybe it's a good idea to run it out to 4 or 5,000, and it's okay to do that. The bottom line is you're going to have a conversation with your technician, your shop, and voice your concerns, and then create a plan. If you do that and follow their advice, in the long run, you'll be better off. Why don't we take a moment, comment down below what's working for you, what oil change intervals are you using, and if you have any other questions you'd like answered, leave them below as well. Thanks.